Every gilded cage is built with walls of comfort. The only question is what you're paying for them.
You ever stop and really think about where a desire comes from? I'm not talking about the big life goals, but those little everyday urges. That sudden craving for a specific coffee, the twitch to check your phone for no reason, or an opinion that just kind of pops into your head. Well, in this explainer, we're going to peel back the curtain on the huge, complex systems that are designed to build those very impulses.
Okay, let's just dive right in with this. It seems like a simple question, but trust me, it's a total rabbit hole. Because if our desires aren't 100% ours, then who or what is writing our story? Who's holding the pen?
I mean, we all know this feeling, right? The world is tailored to us. Our social media feeds feel like they're reading our minds. Netflix serves up our next binge watch on a silver platter. Our choices feel endless. It's this world built for our convenience, to give us exactly what we want, sometimes before we even realize we want it. But what if all that convenience, that feeling of effortless choice, is really just the most sophisticated illusion ever built? What if the menu you're choosing from was actually written to benefit someone else entirely? Let's pull back the curtain on the first and most obvious of these architects. The algorithmic architect. This is the one we interact with every single day. It's that invisible code that's always humming away inside our phones, our laptops, actively shaping our digital reality and, nudging what we want to want. So the engine that powers this architect has a name: surveillance capitalism. And you've got to understand, its main goal isn't just to predict what you're going to do next, it's to actively modify your behavior. Your clicks, your likes, even how long you pause on a picture, all of that becomes raw material for a system designed not just to serve you, but to steer you for profit. And here's basically how it works, in a nutshell. It's a simple four-step loop called the hook model, and it's the foundation for building digital habits. So first, a notification buzzes on your phone. That's the trigger. You click on it, that's the action. Then you get a random mix of content, some you like, some you don't. That's the variable reward that gets your brain's dopamine system all fired up. And finally, you comment or post something. That's the investment that makes sure you'll keep coming back for more. And here's the kicker. The algorithms running this whole show, they have one goal: engagement. And they learn really, really fast that nothing keeps us glued to the screen like anger. Outrage gets clicks. Fighting in the comments section keeps people on the page. The system isn't built for our happiness, it's built to capture our attention. And it's figured out that conflict is the best bait. But here's the thing. These super sophisticated algorithms are basically running on much, much older hardware, the human brain. The blueprint for all this digital control, it wasn't invented in Silicon Valley. Oh no, it's been in development for more than 100 years. If you go all the way back to the 1920s, you have guys like Edward Bernays, who was actually Sigmund Freud's nephew, literally writing the book on engineering consent, which is just a fancy way of saying manipulating the public's unconscious desires. Then for decades, you had these covert government programs, like the CIA's infamous MKUltra and the FBI's COINTELPRO, all digging into one thing: how to control what people think and do. And this is where the connection just becomes crystal clear. Just look at the parallels here. On the left, you've got goals from a top-secret mind control program. And on the right, everyday features of our digital lives. Psychic driving through repetition, well, that's just advertising jingles and your algorithmic feed showing you the same thing over and over. Pharmacological manipulation, that's the dopamine hit you get from an endless scroll. The tools have changed, for sure, but the core psychological principles of control are shockingly similar. And this conditioning, it starts long before we ever get our hands on a smartphone. A lot of our modern school system is actually a holdover from an industrial-era factory model. And the people who designed it were pretty open about it. The goal was to create a disciplined, obedient workforce. It was a system built to encourage compliance, not necessarily to create critical, independent thinkers. So we've got the technological layer and the psychological layer. But this whole architecture of control is basically cemented in place by a third, super powerful force: the economic systems that run our lives and really limit our options. We're conditioned to chase these symbols of success, right? Like a six-figure salary. On paper, that sounds like freedom. But there's this thing called the 100K mirage. After taxes, insurance, you're looking at something closer to 75 grand. Now, start subtracting rent or mortgage, food, car payments. That dream of freedom just vanishes. And you're left trapped, needing the very job you thought was your ticket out. That financial pressure is an incredible tool for control. It keeps us in line because we can't afford to rock the boat. And this might be the most powerful tool of control in the modern world: debt. We're talking over $1 trillion in student loans alone in the US. Millions of people are starting their careers in a massive hole. And that's not just a number on a spreadsheet, it's a leash. It forces you into the job market, makes you accept terms you otherwise wouldn't, all just to make the payments. It just crushes your ability to take risks, to change things up, or to challenge the system. This quote, it's from a really powerful allegory, and it just perfectly captures the whole psychological trap. It's using the language of freedom, of gratitude, to cover up a system of total dependency. We're constantly told we're free, that we should be grateful for all our modern comforts, and that makes it almost impossible to question the rules, or the people making them. Okay, so seeing the architecture, understanding how it's built, that's the first step. But the real question is, how do we start to decondition our own minds? How do we actually take back the pen and reclaim real autonomy in a world that's trying so hard to write our story for us? At its heart, this whole process is about learning to spot the difference between a conditioned response and a conscious choice. See, the system wants us to react instantly, to just go with the flow, to choose harmony over an uncomfortable truth. Real autonomy starts with that conscious decision to just pause, to ask where that feeling came from, to speak your mind even if it's awkward, and to embrace a complicated reality instead of the simple manufactured answer. So here's some practical stuff, a little toolkit for deconditioning. First, catch the whisper. You know that little pang of guilt you feel when you question something you're supposed to believe? That's the conditioning. Pay attention to it. Second, always question the first yes. That small favor you agree to, it's often just the setup. Third, try to look past blaming individuals and start analyzing the systems that allow this to happen. And finally, try a 24-hour e-media fast. I guarantee the discomfort you feel will show you exactly where all the hooks are. So at the end of the day, it all comes down to this. We're living inside this massive, multi-layered architecture of control. It's algorithmic, it's psychological, and it's economic, and it's constantly manufacturing our consent. But knowing the design, seeing the blueprint, that's the first step to freedom. The ultimate act of rebellion isn't some huge protest. It's the quiet, conscious choice to pick up your own pen and write the next sentence of your story yourself.